السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكر له على تفضله وامتنانه، ولا إله إلا الله تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله داعي إلى رضوانه وعلى آله وأصحابه وإخوانه. أما بعد. إخواني في الله, we are continuing with our lecture series regarding the death and the grave. Tonight's topic, inshallah, we shall look at Husnul Khatimah, the good end. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all a good end. Ikhwani fillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatih wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O you who have believed, fear Allah as He ought to be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, يثبت الله الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the believers a firm word in this dunya and in the hereafter. And that firm word is La ilaha illallah. There is no greater blessing than being a Muslim, than dying also as a Muslim. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us all amongst the people who our last words when you're leaving this dunya is La ilaha illallah. Ikhwani fillah, one of the greatest scholars of hadith is a man called Abu Zur'a al-Razi. Abu Zur'a al-Razi. Ubaidillah ibn Abdul Karim ibn Yazid ibn Farukh al-Razi rahimahullah. Born in the year 210 of the Hijri calendar. He passed away in the year 264 of the Hijri calendar. This man Abu Zur'a and his companion Abu Hatim, they are the same level as Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim when it comes to hadith. فَهُمْ مِنْ أَئِمَّةِ الْحَدِيثِ. They are the imams of hadith. They are the pinnacle or the top when it comes to the ilm al-hadith. So when the Sakaratul Maut has come to this Imam Abu Zur'a al-Razi, and his colleagues are next to him, Abu Hatim al-Razi, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Handali, who passed away in the year 277 of the Hijri calendar. His closest companions with him, Abu Hatim al-Razi. Muhammad bin Muslim al-Warrah is next to him. And also another man, I've forgotten his name, Al-Mundhir ibn Shadhan, also next to him. Three of the great scholars of hadith are next to Imam Abu Zur'a al-Razi. And he is breathing his last. Then they feel ashamed somewhat to tell him, say La ilaha illallah. This is an Imam. فَلَهُ الْقَدْرِ عِنْدَنَا. He has a high status. How can you tell a great Imam like this when death is coming to him, say La ilaha illallah? So they decided to use a trick, or so to say. So Muhammad ibn Muslim ibn Warrah, he started saying, narrating the hadith, let us relate the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam regarding saying La ilaha illallah. لَقِّنُوا مَوْتَاكُمْ لَا إِلَهَ illallah. When your person is dying, say to them La ilaha illallah. So Muhammad ibn Muslim al-Warrah, he starts narrating the hadith with his chain of narration. He says, قال حدثنا أبو عاصم قال حدثنا عبد الحميد بن جعفر عن صالح ابن أبي, and he stops the chain of narration there. Abu Hatim al-Razi, he says, قال حدثنا بندر محمد بن بشار العبدي قال حدثنا أبو صالح قال حدثنا عبد الحميد ابن جعفر عن صالح ابن أبي, and they stop there. Abu Zur'a, the Imam who was in Sakaratul Maut, he opens his eyes and he believes his colleagues have not been able to finish the hadith. So he says, when he is in this great pain, he says, قال حدثنا بندر قال حدثنا أبو عاصم عن عبد الحميد بن جعفر عن صالح بن أبي غريب عن كثير بن مرة عن معاذ بن جبل رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان آخر كلامه لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة ومات في تلك الحال. He said, this chain of narration, hadith narrated by Mu'adh ibn Jabal, that the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, he says, whoever's last words are La ilaha illallah, he shall enter paradise. And this Imam, he finished the hadith of Dakhal al-Jannah and he died on the spot. His last word was the hadith of Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Man kana akhiru kalamihi la ilaha illallah, Dakhal al-Jannah. This was the death of the Imam Abu Zur'a al-Razi, who passed away in the year 264 of the Hijri calendar. Another of the Imams, Abdullah ibn Idris, when death came to him, وَاشْتَدَّ عَلَيْهِ الْكَرْبِ, and it became very painful for him. وَجَعَلَ يَشْحَقْ, and he started breathing heavily. بكت ابنته, his daughter started crying. فقال يا بنيتي, he says, oh my daughter, يا بنيتي لا تبكي, oh my daughter, do not cry. فقد ختمت القرآن في هذا البيت 4000 ختمة كلها لأجل هذا المصرع. I have completed the Quran 4,000 times in this house in preparation for this day, in preparation for this event. And he died, the Imam Abdullah ibn Idris. Another of the Imams, Amir ibn Abdullah ibn Zubayr, rahimahullah, as we mentioned last night, when death came to him, Sakaratul Maut, and his colleagues and his family were next to him, and he started breathing heavily and starts counting his last breaths, and the pain became very severe. All his companions and his family, they're all crying. He hears the muaddin calling the adhan of Salat al-Maghrib, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala al-falah, come to prayer, come to success. فقال لمن حوله, he said to the people who were next to him, خذوا بيدي, take my hand. قالوا إلى الأين, where do you want us to take you? قال إلى المسجد, take me to the mosque. قالوا وأنت على هذه الحال, you want to go to the mosque and you're just going to die in a few moments. قال سبحان الله أسمع المؤذن ينادي بالنداء ثم لا أجيبه. I hear the muaddin calling the call, come to prayer, come to success, there, do not answer him. خذوا بيدي, take my hand. فحملوه بين رجلين, they carried him, two men, إلى المسجد. فصلى ركعة مع الإمام ومات في سجوده. He prayed one single rak'ah with the Imam and he died in his sujud. He died in a state of sujud. Another of the Imams, Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad, when death came to him, he started crying. He started crying profusely. They asked him, why are you crying? وأنت فلان في العبادة والخشوع والخوف والخضوع وذكر له أعمالا كثيرة. They said, you were an excellent person. We know you as a worshipper, someone who fears Allah, always remembering Allah. Why are you crying in this state? فقال والله لا أبكي خوفا على الموت ولكن أبكي أسفا على الصلاة والصوم فمن يصوم عني ومن سيصلي عني وجعل يرتل القرآن حتى مات. He says, who will pray for me the prayer after I die? Who will fast for me the sunnah's fast I used to fast? فجعل يرتل القرآن. He continued reciting the Quran until he died in a state of reciting the Quran. إخواني في الله, this is the greatest ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give a servant, to die upon La ilaha illallah. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, Man mata ala shay bu'itha alayh. Whoever dies upon a state shall be resurrected on that state. Rawahu Ahmad wal Hakim. If you die in a state of ihram, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, you have gone for Hajj, on the day of Qiyamah you shall be resurrected. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. If you die as a shaheed, as we shall look later on, or the stories of the shuhada, and your blood was spilled fi sabilillah, on the day of judgment, your blood will be dripping. You'll come before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and your blood smells like misk. If you died in a state of sujood to Allah, you shall be resurrected on the day of judgment in a state of sujood. So if you die upon a state of obedience, you shall be resurrected in that state. And as we mentioned in the previous lectures, if you die also in a state of ma'asiyah, you shall be resurrected upon that state. Ikhwani fillah, it's quite a long time ago, almost 30 years ago, the year 1991 of the Christian calendar, December 14th, 1991, a Saturday. Some Muslims were coming from Jeddah, from Saudi Arabia, from Hajj, in 1991, aboard a ship known as Salim Express, December 14th, 1991. So they've boarded this ship, Salim Express. As they're about to reach Egypt, the boat has an accident and it starts sinking. One of the brothers who was in this ship, he says, I told my wife, Hayya ukhruji, فَإِنَّ الْبَاخِرَ سَتَغْرِقُ. Let's leave, this ship is sinking, let us come out. فقالت, the wife, she said, وَاللَّهِ لَنْ أَخْرُجَ حَتَّى أَلْبِسَ حِجَابِ كَامِلًا. Wallahi, I shall not leave this ship until I keep on my full hijab. فقال الزوج, the husband says, هذا وقت الحجاب? Is this the time of hijab? هيا اخرجي سنهلك. Is this the time for hijab? Let's get out in the stage that you're in. We shall drown. We shall be destroyed. فقالت المرأة الشابة, the young lady, the wife, she said, والله لن أخرج حتى ألبس حجاب كاملا. لئن مت ألقى الله سبحانه وتعالى على طاعة. If I die, I want to die and I meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a state of obedience. I meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with my hijab completely covering my body. So she kept on her hijab. And they jumped out of the ship. فَلَمَّا تَحَقَّقَتَ الْجَمِيعِ مِنَ الْغَرْقِ. When all of them were sure they will drown, تَعَلَّقَتْ بِهِ. She held the husband. فَقَالَتْ أَسْتَحْلِفُكَ بِاللَّهِ. She says to the husband, أَسْتَحْلِفُكَ بِاللَّهِ. I ask you by Allah, هَلْ أَنْتَ رَاضٍ عَنِّي. Are you pleased with me, my dear husband? فَجَعَلَ الزَّوْجِ يَبْكِي. The husband starts crying. فَقَالَتْ أَسْتَحْلِفُكَ بِاللَّهِ هَلْ أَنْتَ رَاضٍ عَنِّي. I ask you by Allah, are you pleased with me? فَجَعَلَ الزَّوْجِ يَبْكِي. The husband was not able to control himself and he continues crying. فقالت المرأة الشابة أريد أن أسمعها. I want to hear from you. هل أنت راض عني. Are you pleased with me? The husband says, والله إني راض عنك. Wallahi, I am pleased with you. Wallahi, I am pleased with you. فقالت الحمد لله. فجعلت تردد لا إله إلا الله. And she continued repeating لا إله إلا الله حتى غرقت وماتت. And she continued repeating لا إله إلا الله, and she drowned and she died Saturday, December 14th, 1991. فجعل الزوج يدعو. The husband started making dua, oh Allah, gather me, resurrect me with this woman in Jannah. I am pleased for this woman to be my wife in paradise. A few years ago, Akhwani Fillah, in Saudi Arabia, upon the Tabuk highway, there was a very bad accident. A bus driver was driving with 10 lady teachers. 10 female teachers. He was in the bus. So 9 of them, they decide the journey is very long. They say to the driver, it's very boring. Play for us some music. We want to listen to some music. Let us enjoy our trip. فقالت العاشرة, the 10th Muhammad, she says, yes, oh driver, fear Allah, اتق الله. إني لا أريد أن أسمع الأغاني. إني لا أريد أن أسمع الحرام. Oh driver, fear Allah. I do not want to listen to music. I do not want to listen to haram. إني لا أريد أن أغضب ربي. I do not want to make my Lord angry. The bus driver, he got angry. He says, أنت الوحيدة. You are by yourself. I listen to you, I leave the request of all these 9. That shall not happen. So he started playing the music. فَجَعَلْنَا يَتَرَقَصْنَ. They started dancing, these ladies in the vehicle. And they're enjoying the trip. As they're driving upon the Tabuk highway, the driver loses concentration for a moment, hits a car, hits the edges of the road, the bus rolls, and a calamity or tragedy befell them. A sheikh, he says that I was near the accident site with 5 of my brothers. We were 6 in total. We were called, there's an accident, a very serious accident has happened close to you. Please rush over there and assist them with first aid or anything you can assist as we wait for the ambulance to come. So the sheikh, he says, I went there with 5 of the brothers and I found one of the worst accident sites I've ever seen. I find a head over here, I find the nose over there. I find one leg here, hands over there, and I find most of the ladies, their hijabs have been torn completely, that they have been exposed. Their entire body, their entire nakedness has been exposed. Said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And we started covering them and gathering the body parts that we will find. And we started moving around the accident site to find anyone who is alive. At least we can tell them to say La ilaha illallah, and they dare upon a state of tawheed. Says we move around and we find the driver. We say to the driver, Qul la ilaha illallah, say La ilaha illallah. And he starts crying. We say to him, say La ilaha illallah. And he starts crying. He says, my dear brothers, go look for the righteous lady. I have wronged her. Give her my salam and ask her to forgive me. Ana sabab. I am the reason for all of this. Ask her to forgive me. Ask her to forgive me. They asked him, Aina here, where is she? They say, you'll find her. He says, you'll find her. You'll definitely find her. And he started breathing his last, and the driver passed away. So the brothers, they went around searching, and they came upon a body. And they all started crying when they saw this body. For subhanallah, Allah had protected this woman, that not a single part of her skin could be seen. She was covered with a hijab complete from the head to the toe. Not a single piece of hair or piece of skin we could see on her body. We could not see anything. We started crying, subhanallah. All these women, their hijab was in tatters. Their private parts were exposed. But this lady, what is her secret? That Allah preserved her and protected her. The Shaykh says, I touched her head to find if there's any body hit. Is this woman still alive or has she left us? But there's some body hit. Then the lady opens the eyes and she starts crying. She starts crying and says to the Shaykh, Irfa yadak anni. Raise your hands upon my head. Because I am a weak person. Because I'm in this state. You have made halal for yourself to touch me. Wallah, you should never touch me. Don't touch me. Lift your hands. So the Shaykh lifted the hands. He got scared. And this woman, all she was saying was Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. She continued repeating this. The Shaykh says, my dear sister, you shall die. Say La ilaha illallah. We are waiting for the ambulance. We shall carry you into the ambulance. She says, Al-mawtu ahabbu ilayya min an yamsikani ahad. Death is more beloved to me than for any man to touch me. Wallahi lan akhuna Abu Muhammad. Wallahi, I shall not betray Abu Muhammad. I shall not betray my husband, the father of Muhammad. I shall not betray my husband. I've never allowed a man to touch me before. I shall not on this day allow another man to touch me. You are not going to carry me in that ambulance. The Shaykh says, I tried convincing her that this is darura. I'm not touching you because of desire. I'm touching you because of your own health, of your own medical needs. She refused completely. So the Shaykh says, we waited for her to fall unconscious. When she felt unconscious, we carried her into the ambulance. And the people in the ambulance, they were shocked. All those people, they died in that state. And this woman is protected. They wondered what's happening. So they went with her to the hospital. The doctor looked at her and said, all her bones are broken. She's just waiting for death. I don't even know how she survived till now. The woman woke up and says, Ya Sheikh, call my husband. This is the phone number. Call my husband, Abu Muhammad. I want to tell him goodbye. So they called the husband. The Sheikh says at exactly 9:30, we see a man coming to the ward, to the ICU ward in the hospital. And he says, أين المؤمنة أين الصالحة أين العفيفة أين القائمة. Where is that righteous woman? Where is that loyal woman? Where is that excellent woman? Wallahi ya ikhwan ma tadrun. Oh brothers, you do not know about this lady. Wallahi inna sataqumina al-layla kulla layla. She spends all her nights in qiyamul layl. Wa tasumina an-nahar wa tasumu an-nahar. And she fasts every single day since I know her. I do not know her except as an excellent lady. Where is this lady? The Shaykh says, I went to him, I hugged him, and I told him, have patience. Be patient. Your reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the brother, he says, we took the Abu Muhammad into the ward to see the wife. So he enters, he sees his wife. And he says, Assalamu alaikum, ya Umm Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, my dear wife. The wife replies, Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Then she says, Uqrub ya Aba Muhammad, waddi waddi'ak. Oh Abu Muhammad, come close. I want to tell you goodbye. So the husband goes and he starts holding the wife. Like how two lovers hold each other. Starts holding the wife on the chest. And he says to her, don't worry, everything is okay. I'm here for you. And both of them, they start crying. She says, Oh Abu Muhammad, give my greetings to my children, for I do not have anything in this world except them. Give my greetings to my children. Oh Abu Muhammad, please do not be angry with me. Do not be angry with me. Wallahi, I did not allow a single man to touch me. Wallahi, I did not betray you. Don't be angry with me. I want to enter the paradise of my Lord. I want to enter Jannah. Please do not be angry with me. Be pleased with me. The husband starts crying. She says, As'aluk, I ask you, are you pleased with me? He starts crying. Are you pleased with me? He starts crying, can't control himself. He's losing his wife, the person he shared everything with her in this world. And he says, Wallahi, I am pleased with you. And I testify that you are amongst the people of Jannah. She says, Alhamdulillah, give my greetings to my children and tell them that Mama is waiting for you in Jannah. Tell them that Mom is waiting for you in Jannah. Mom is waiting for them in Jannah. فَجَعَلَتْ تُرَدِّدْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. She continued repeating La ilaha illallah, and she died upon that state of Tawheed. And this is the story of Muhammad. Ikhwani fillah, Abu Tha'laba al-Khushani, he died in a state of sujood. Mujahid ibn Habr died in a state of sujood. Hammad ibn Salama died in salah. Abdurrahman ibn Abban ibn Uthman, he came to the mosque to pray Salatul Duha, and he died while he was in salah. Yahya ibn Ammar, a scholar, was teaching Surah Al-Qiyamah in the mosque, and he lost his life in the mosque while he was making tafsir of this verse. Abu Zur'a, the muhaddith we mentioned, he read the hadith of whoever's last word is La ilaha illallah, and he died upon that state. Abdul Hamid Kishk, one of the khatibs of Egypt, the blind sheikh, you've all heard of him. He goes home Friday, takes his bath, performs wudu, and he wants to pray the 2 rak'ah of wudu, the sunnah of wudu. After every wudu, you should pray 2 rak'ah. So he wants to pray this 2 rak'ah. He prays the first rak'ah, he goes on ruku', and the Malakul Maut waits for him when he's in a state of ruku', and he dies. He falls down and dies. He died in a state of ruku'. And our final example, Ikhwani Fillah, one of the greatest leaders from amongst the Muslims is a man called Harun al-Rashid. When it comes to the Dawla al-Abbasiyah, the Abbasid Caliphate that was there from the year 132 of the Hijri calendar to the year 656 of the Hijri calendar, the greatest Khalifa that the Abbasid Empire produced is this man Harun al-Rashid. When death came to him and he knew that he is about to die, he called his entire army. This was the leader of the most powerful empire at the time, the Dawla al-Islamiyah, the Islamic empire. He calls his entire army and they form a parade, and he looks at them and he starts crying and he says, Ya man lam yazalu mulkuh, irham man qad zala mulkuh. Oh, the one whose kingdom never ends, forgive the one whose kingdom has ended. And this man, Harun al-Rashid, he breathes his last and he died. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, يُثَبِّتُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِالْقَوْلِ الثَّابِتِ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives thabat. He gives a firmness to the believer in this world by saying La ilaha illallah. And in the grave, when the 2 angels, they come to ask you, Man rabbuk, man nabiyuk, wa ma dinuk, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gives you thabat as a believer, that you are able to answer those questions. Man asha ala shay, mata alayh. وَمَنْ مَاتَ عَلَى شَيْءٍ بُعِثَ عَلَيْهِ. If you live upon a state of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you shall die upon that state. If you are living as a person of salah, you shall die bi-idhnillah in salah. If you live fasting, you fast Mondays and Thursdays, Ayyamul Bid, bi-idhnillah, Malakul Maut will come to you, and you shall be amongst the people who will take your iftar in Jannah. Ya salam. So, Ikhwani fillah, whoever lives upon a state shall die upon that state, and whoever dies upon a state shall be resurrected on that state. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us, all of us, husn al-khatima. Allahumma inna nas'aluka husn al-khatima. Allahumma ja'al khayra a'malina khawatimaha. اللهم اجعل خير أعمارنا أواخرها. اللهم اجعل خير أيامنا يوم نلقاك. اللهم ثبتنا بالقول الثابت في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة. اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. اللهم اجعل آخر كلامنا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم إن نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل، ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب